Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Tech This Week. My name is Apulak. Hope all of you are keeping well. Till now, we've had so many sessions of how technology is great, how it's transforming our lives. We're gushing about one technology to the other. So we thought of taking a different stand today, right? So we thought of understanding what is the environmental responsibility of tech companies, you know? What is the future of technology? What is the future of our planet, right? But more importantly and more accurately, are tech companies truly showing responsibility over the environment, or is there a lot to do about that space? Let's expose the reality behind these claims. Tech giants, love to throw, around these phrases like, we'll go carbon neutral by 2030, or we'll go for green initiatives. How many of you, frankly, know what does carbon neutral 2030 mean? And by saying so, does it completely dissuade them from any harm that they're doing? And how much is it truly substantial, right? The truth, again, I may be generalizing this. Much of it, in my personal opinion, and it's my personal opinion, like I always say, is greenwashing. These companies are doing just enough, to look good on paper without making as much significant change to their core operations as they need to or should be doing. To understand this better, let's take a closer look at the tech sector's current environment impact. Right? Let's talk some numbers. One of the key components of technology these days are data centers. Right? They're the backbone of everything from cloud computing to AI. And I don't know whether many of you know, they consume almost close to 1% of the world's electricity, and this is only on the rise. This will keep on steadily increasing. Then you have the tech industry's shiny buzzword, which is AI, its next avatar, generative AI, all contributing significantly to global carbon emissions. They say the world is going to change thanks to AI, but it's coming at a cost. In fact, even training a small AI model, emits the same amount of carbon as 5 cars over the entire lifetime. In fact, let's not even forget that, each Gen AI transaction, and when I say Gen, it could be any LLM platform, it consumes resources equal to half a glass of water. So that basically means every time you have LLM query that you submit, it is consuming half a glass of water full of resources. And you can imagine the cumulative water consumption on a global scale. We know, there is shortage of water. We try to save and we try to do our bit. But just to give you context, and all of this is just at the beginning. Generative AI is truly at the cusp. It's not even started. Imagine what it would do when it's at its peak. Then you have, electronic waste piling over at alarming rate. And I don't think the tech companies are unlikely to change their ways unless they're forced to. And the reason is simple, because it cuts into their profits. A company exists to make money. And the day they cease or they stop reducing money, the shareholders are not happy. And all these companies work for the shareholders. So the hard reality is, corporations do not voluntarily comply with environmental responsibilities, especially not the tech giants. Unless they are compelled to act, they have no real incentive to prioritize environment over profit. So is it time to impose compulsory regulations? I think history is a great lesson to where we've seen real change actually happen, by the way, where companies are forced to comply. And I'll give you a certain example. I'm not hogwashing this by just giving, I'll give you 2-3 examples. There was if you all recall, there was this one protocol called the Montreal Protocol, which led to the global phase out of ozone depleting CFCs. And only because it happened, governments worldwide came together and made it mandatory. It wasn't voluntary, and look what happened. The ozone layer started to heal. In fact, if you're a 90s kid, and I'm sure even for those who are living today, many of us knew that all the ACs that run in our houses, right? They used to use CFC. So now, but that has been banned. That's taken an impact, and for the better, right? Then there was this Clean Air Act in the US, which forced car manufacturers to reduce emissions by introducing strict limits. That's when we saw, real innovation happen in the automotive sector, not before, right? In fact, if you see closer to home, we can look at how BS6 emission standards have introduced in India in 2020. And these norms were forced by the government, and automakers were forced to reduce significantly their vehicle pollution. But that was possible only if they invest in R&D. So effective change is possible, but as we have seen as history repeats itself, only if it's forced upon them. It cannot be done voluntarily. In fact, Maruti Suzuki, India's most affordable car maker, had to stop selling diesel cars temporarily until they could meet the new BS6 standards, right? So the lesson is clear, when business are left to their own, planet will take a backseat. But when they're compelled by law or regulations, meaningful change does happen. It's time for that approach to be taken towards the regulated tech sector, The solutions are very clear. Governments need to tighten their screws and force tech companies to act, like we see, right? Without real pressure, there will be no action. For instance, governments should impose mandatory carbon caps on data centers. Imagine if tech companies, face hefty fine for exceeding carbon emission limits. They would think through of what they should not do. Similarly, there should be strict regulations limiting the amount of e-waste a company can produce, with penalties for exceeding those limits. So if you hit them where it hurts most, which is money, that's when they'll take you seriously, But what is important, the real challenge is here to stay, The question is, we're saying the government needs to mandate these changes, where they are the policymakers. But it is not going to be easy call when governments step in. The real challenge lies in whether they are willing to take this on. Because you have to understand, many governments are themselves, dazzled by the near-term economic benefits that tech giants bring. Like for instance, India, we are saying that we are going to be a $5 trillion economy. And propelling that $5 trillion dream somewhere is technology, right? So from job creation to innovation-driven economic growth, the immediate tangible gains may blur their vision to long-term environmental costs. So I don't think it's such an easy decision for governments. Additionally, this is not a challenge that can only be tackled by individual countries in isolation. Tech companies operate globally, so meaningful change will require cohesive efforts from the governments of leading countries. So we often say, that future is tech. But should we now ask ourselves this question, is there truly a future with tech if it continues on this unsustainable path? A lot to think. Would love to hear from you on this. Have a great weekend.